This may or may not go viral. We'll find out. But for now, we're just going to keep it raw and unproduced. So today's topic is nutrition. And I feel like we have conversations nonstop with athletes on how do I gain weight? Um, like how do I fit more food in? Or I am eating enough food, but I'm still not gaining weight. And we all know there's more to it than that. You just got to dig deeper. So we will continue to have those conversations with our athletes, but I would love to put out some resources, practical nuggets from our crew to social media for anyone to digest and take to heart. Cool.
Digest. Nice. Nutrition.
That was on purpose. Yeah. So I don't know. Let's hop in. What are some of like the biggest nutrition questions or like pressing nutrition issues that we see? I mean, we work with high school athletes. For anyone first listening.
Yeah, I'll go first. I think the thing that we see the most with both male and female athletes across the board is just a lack of total nutrition as far as total calories or total quality or total anything. There's so many different factors at play when it comes to how they want to not only perform, but also at a certain point, how they want to look, how they want to do anything, really. And I think that it's one piece of the puzzle. It's just one of the bigger pieces because so many of them, especially the ones that we get to see, are willing to come in and grind and do the hard work. It's after they leave our building, it's just kind of like, okay, that was the box that I feel like I needed to check. Now it's just go home, scroll for a while, do my homework, and go to bed. Mm-hmm. And yeah, again, the reality is just they're not eating enough, and it's much more of a secondary issue, like the quality of their food, especially at the age that they're at and the population that we serve that way. But yeah, much different for how much they play and how little they eat.
Yeah, I mean, with high schoolers, like the nutritional requirements are just so much different than what you are going to see on social media. Like it's pretty rare that a kid comes in and they're like, I need to eat differently to lose weight. It's either like if you need to lose weight, you probably just need to start training, and like we see that happen very naturally, or it's just kids that like cannot gain weight, like they cannot increase their size, and like they're undersized for their sport and their age. They're the smallest kid on the field, and like how do you kickstart that? So Cooper and Junior, I'm interested to hear like what are some conversations you guys typically end up having with athletes about?
I would say the main one is just like making sure that they're actually having 3 big like main meals per day, because a lot of the times when you ask these kids, they're like, oh yeah, like I'll sometimes have breakfast if I have time, and then depending on what school or what lunch they get at school, like that might not even be like adequate. And then like Alex said, like who knows what they have when they go home after the gym. So that's something that I like to tell them a lot, is just like make sure you get at least 3 big meals in per day. If you can get like snacks, like good, healthy, ideally like protein filled snacks in between, then perfect. Yeah, that's kind of the main thing that I always run into is kids just not either wanting to or having time to get those three big meals in.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I talk to kids about is like, especially the ones that have been trying to gain weight for a little bit already, is like they'll say, oh, I eat a lot, or I tell them to eat more, and they're like, I just can't eat more. And the thing is, like, the definition of insanity is like doing something over and over and over again and expecting a different result. And it's like, is it really working, or like, do you need to be actually eating more? And sometimes that like gets a little light bulb on top of their head, and sometimes it doesn't. Like, I think it's just the unknowing of the athletes in general, you know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the one that always like. Go ahead, Al.
I was just gonna say it kind of comes down to establishing baselines for them in their life, because for some kids, like, eating more seems daunting. For some kids, eating more doesn't seem like a realistic thing. They're like, well, I'm already full with what I eat, so then how do I eat more? Like what you were saying, Coop. And like, it's just like in the gym, like in the gym we get to teach them what a baseline of relative effort is, or like we have to teach them what good nutrition is. We have to teach them what good quality movement is, what all of that kind of looks like. So if we're establishing baselines, we have to show them or guide them towards something that they just might not have any idea how to, one, do, and then two, sustain. It's like, all right, today I ate breakfast. It's like, cool. Maybe I'll do that again on Friday. It's like, well, it's Monday. You should probably eat breakfast between now and then. Like, how often do I eat do I have to eat breakfast every day? Like, how do I go from never doing that to then doing that every day without giving up? Because so many people, like adults, kids, everyone in between, are people who don't typically do well with radical shifts in and change in their life cycle. So they're, if they have to, for lack of a better term, like microdose breakfast, like over time in order to build up like an ability to like do it, then you as a coach or us as coaches need to establish like, hey, this is where we're going to start. This is what's realistic. This is what you should do every single day. And then after a month, after 2 months, we're going to up it by this much. We're going to have, instead of one granola bar, we're going to have two granola bars, or a granola bar and a yogurt, or something that like will build over time, rather than just like, hey, let's have 3 square meals a day, even though you have 1.5 right now. Like, how do we breadcrumb this? How do we give you the right building blocks in order to be successful? Or are we just giving good advice to the wrong people?
Yeah, and then like when you tell them to eat breakfast every morning, they're like, "Oh, I don't have time." Well, it's like either set your alarm earlier and get up, or like prepackage it and get it ready the night before and just be prepared for it. Like it actually comes down to like, do you really want to be a better athlete and get bigger, or do you not? I mean, it's a simple question.
Yeah, I mean, you got home at 8:30 from practice, and you're back at school at 7:30 the next morning. You have 11 hours to make sure that
Yeah.
breakfast happens. Sometime in that 11 hours, whether you stay up late and prep it, you get up earlier and do it, or you're Rich Piana and you wake up every 2 hours to eat ice cream overnight.
Yeah.
You know, make it
Get off,
happen. Like,
get off Clash Royale.
relevant.
Yeah.
Alex, I liked what you said about like, I'm full, I don't want to eat more, and I kind of like, I was thinking about this the other day. All of our kids have been sort of hammered this message of like, you're tired, but you're still going to practice for 3 more hours. And like, from a training standpoint, like, every athlete we train, or almost every athlete we train, has that down, where it's like the tired messaging doesn't really kick them anymore. They're just kind of like, yeah, but like I still got to go lift, and then I'm going to go do like a lesson for my other sport after my lift. And they just keep doing that. And to some extent, or at some point, like when you're underweight and you're trying to fuel all of those performance gains, the same thing applies to eating, where it's like, you're full, get over it. None of this is going to like stick unless you bring in enough fuel for that recovery and for those building blocks. So like, it's the same thing. It's like, you can't finish that second pancake on Friday breakfast. Like, I don't really care. You better put it down eventually before lunch. Don't give it to your friends, you know.
It's so funny. I was thinking about that too in prep for this podcast. Of half of the time we do that breakfast for just to have the camaraderie, just to show the guys and the girls that like, hey, like we care about you, and like we want to just have time to spend with you outside of the gym. But the other part is we get a chance, like an actual eyes view of what do you actually eat? What are you capable of eating in the morning? And for the people
Mm-hmm.
who are like, oh, I can eat a lot, I just don't because of time or because of laziness or because of maybe lack of perspective of how much of a difference it makes. It gives us a really good perspective on what's realistic for them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part is like back to what you were saying, Mike. I was talking to one of our college baseball dudes the other day, and I was like, "Hey, you're at a point where your performance is there. Like your ability to come in and train, get after it, regardless of your situation, regardless of how you're feeling that day. Like you're gonna come in, you're gonna do it. Now your focus, if you want to like really start to dial up and dial in, is you have to become a master recoverer.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to do the things that others won't so that you can do what others can't. If you're going to take the 5 extra minutes every single night to make sure that you have a good breakfast in the morning when others are just going to kind of like maybe figure it out, that's moving the needle. If you're going to make sure that your phone is away an hour before bed instead of 30 minutes, or you're going to read for 10 minutes, whatever it is that like calms you down, sets you up for success, and gets you ready, more ready the next day to be able to hit it just as hard, like that's where the separation starts to come in. And so many people don't do that with their nutrition. They'll
Mm-hmm.
like they'll buy the Whoop band, the Aura ring, they'll do whatever other gadgets and things that they think are going to make the difference, but they just either will put too much or not enough food in their face. And
Yeah, the master recovery, being a master of recovery is really good for the IG algorithm. I don't think I don't think the algorithm really likes the idea of eating a third bowl of cereal at night, but
right. Seriously though,
sometimes it's realistic. Sometimes that's what it
that
takes.
is a form of recovery if you are
It is.
tiny.
I want to kind of jump back on that bandwagon because um, I want to jump back and talk about sort of like scaffolding goals, like you brought up, Al. But first, you mentioned that a lot of kids literally just like don't even know what we mean when we're trying to describe how much they need to be eating, and like the baseline is like lost on them in establishing that. And I feel like a fun exercise would be to explore what that has looked like for all of us individually. So I know for a fact all of us except for maybe Junior, I'm not sure, dude, have undertaken one or multiple significant mass gaining phases. And I know we all have stories of how we made that happen. So I would love to hear.
Well, even Junior from when he first started working with us has probably gained 30
True.
pounds.
Facts.
I
That's true.
yeah, I would say I had one, it was probably like 2 years ago where like I really tried to bulk up. And that's, that was way back when I was doing Thomas's death programs. But no, I put on a good, probably like 10, 15 pounds in like 2 months. But honestly, what it comes down to is just, staying. Pardon me, one sec. Someone else can go. My throat is being. Pardon me. Um,
There's a mute button, dude.
but no. Yeah, I forgot about that. Sorry.
You're good.
Um, no, I mean, it's just staying like consistent in the gym. Like that's, if you're not doing that, then you're not really going to bulk up the right way either way. But for me, the big thing was lots of protein, like big protein meal after the workout, and it doesn't have to be in the anabolic window, so to speak, that I feel like everyone, or at least like newcomers to the gym and like just getting involved with nutrition, think it has to be. I think it has to be relatively soon, but it doesn't have to be within 30 minutes. But yeah, big protein meal like right after the lift, and then yeah, kind of going back to what I said about what I tell kids right now, just making sure that you're getting 3 big meals in, especially at night, like third or second bowl of cereal, or just like get a snack in before you go to bed.
Sure. Yeah, the anabolic window is like it's not possible for some of our kids too.
Right.
Like literally, one of one of the guys that came in last night went straight from school to like a baseball training program, and then he had a hitting lesson, and then he came straight to training, and then he was going to tennis. It's like, good luck hitting the anabolic window there, right? So it was literally like he had like a protein shake after school, and then he was just like mashing Uncrustables throughout the evening, which was good because he's underweight. He needs it. And then he's going to go eat a big dinner at home afterwards. But like, I mean, in terms of protein and getting that in, 30 minutes after every hard workout, like that's just not, when you're training for 5 straight hours, it's not going to happen that way. Coop, what are some tried and true methods that you've used to gain mass before?
Well, I mean, summer 22 or 23, I can't remember. I went from like 170 to 195 in like 3 months. I would literally eat the 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then the floating meal that I would have is either a whole rotisserie chicken with a sushi roll from Family Fare. Those went hard, actually. That goes insane. And then the other floating one was a pound of ground beef, a cup of rice, and then a whole avocado. And I would just eat that like right after training, and then on top of the 3 meals. And then definitely ice cream or cereal every night before you go to bed. And I mean, it was hard. Like, I never was hungry for food, I would say. But I mean, it worked. Did exactly what I needed it to do. So
yeah, it sure did. I remember that. That was sick.
Yeah. My hands always smelled like rotisserie chicken.
It doesn't go away.
I'm not using a fork. The fork takes too
long.
No
chance.
Yeah.
This summer I would go get one after our morning session, and I would just set it outside the gym because I didn't want the rotisserie to smell up the whole gym, and then I would eat it later.
Reeks.
It works. I had 2 pretty sizable weight gain seasons. One of them was junior year of college, and I went from like 165 to like almost 200 pounds. And this was like 4 or 5 months, but it was a lot. And the meal that I vividly remember, and I made this every night in the community kitchen because nobody used it in the dorm, was 2 packs of ramen, a pound of ground beef, and 6 eggs, all in the same pan. And I had like a method. I had it down pat too. It was kind of awesome. But that was insane. And I feel like at some point the sodium caught up to me because I felt really sick one night and I never made it again because I thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. But that worked, like literally like 4 months of that it was like all you can eat at the dining hall for every, all 3 meals. And then half of the time I would get like a protein bar or like some hard boiled eggs in the middle, and then finish the night with that. And it worked like a charm, but it like wasn't comfortable to do. Like I had to put it down sometimes. The other thing that works for me, sorry, you go.
I was just going to put in a little side statement. I think one thing that definitely helps when you're trying to gain a bunch of weight in a short time is like finding that like meal, like your go-to meal that you like to eat, and you don't like kind of think like, oh man, I don't want to eat this today. Like if you can kind of like find that calorie punch and just like get it in no matter what, like that's the best thing for sure.
And if it's a Costco chicken bake, you're on the right track.
Oh dude, 2 of them, easy.
Yeah, I think like I just feel like kids don't necessarily feel comfortable. Some kids do, but they don't feel comfortable going home and like making an entire extra meal for themselves.
3 scoops of peanut butter.
Yeah, I mean you can do that, or you could just learn how to make a meal for yourself too. Like
Yeah.
That's part of like the ownership thing is like, okay, I need to eat more food. My mom doesn't want to buy me, like 72 fig bars every week. I don't want to eat 72 fig bars every week. So like now what, right? Like now I just don't have an option. And it's like, no, like you can make food. And especially the tough part is getting over that hump of like, I've never really done this for myself before, but like you said, if you find that one meal that's like you like it and you can get down the preparation process to where it like doesn't feel like a chore, it just feels like, hey, this is the thing I do for 15 minutes after I get home from training every day. And it comes kind of predictable and not like, like a tough thing for you to accomplish, then that just kind of becomes routine. But like once you learn how to do that, the world opens up for you in terms of like you feeling like you can be in control of your own outcomes.
I saw this on Instagram Reels the other day. When you guys like first started cooking, did you use like a million dishes and like paper towels and stuff like that? And like wash your hands after each thing you touch?
Oh yeah.
I still do that, but that's because I have sensory issues.
Yeah.
I use a ridiculous amount of paper towels every time I make stuff.
Yeah. So you can grab a fork, wash your hands, grab a paper towel.
Wipe off the fork with the paper towel if you're going to have to use it for something else.
No doubt. Which is definitely also an aversion, is if you are the one that has to do your own dishes. But
right.
For the most part, you're not.
To kind of piggyback on everything you guys are all saying, it's to learn how to cook, even just super simply, is just another part of ownership. It's just another part of the how much do you want it? Do you want to be a varsity athlete, a D1 athlete, a professional athlete enough to learn how to make eggs, to cook a chicken breast, to boil some broccoli or whatever, air fry. You pour it in the air fryer, press a button. It's not you cooking, it's are you willing to do it? Are you willing to experiment a little bit? And are you willing to be consistent? Because in the end, the consistency, whether it's weight gain, weight loss, like body composition changes, it's just consistency over the long term. And sometimes long term is 3 months, sometimes it's 3 years. You just got to figure out what the goal is and where you need to be and just act like nothing else is going to stop you. And that doesn't mean to kind of make sure we're on the right track with it. Like, it doesn't mean you got to be perfect, especially if you're trying to gain weight. It's fine that you're not perfect as far as like the food quality or the food timing or all that stuff. It's just eat. If it's like either a body composition change or like a weight loss thing, it's got to be a consistency, like the 80-20 rule is just realistic. Like 80% of the time you're locked in, then 20% of the time you can go bananas. But like you gotta make the consistency the biggest part of whatever side of the spectrum you're trying to go on.
Yeah,
just like with training.
You talk about like, I know we mentioned a couple times like how bad do you really want it, and I think about like when I really started to like pop off in college, it kind of took like the realization that I had to be good in like 4 different areas and not just like lifting. Like I was lifting and I was like, all right, sweet, like I'm gonna get better. But it's really like the 4 big things like for me that I think about are like skill work, weightlifting, eating, and sleeping. And like if you get those 4 down, then you're like pretty locked in. But I think a lot of like athletes are just like, yeah, I lifted 2 times this week at optimal, like sweet, I'm good. Like probably not. If you really want it, probably not.
Yeah, I mean the nutrition and the sleep part. Sorry, the nutrition and the sleep part is really like, it might honestly be the one that takes the most resolve and like actual internal motivation for a high school athlete. Because showing up at optimal is something that like you already pay for and your parents are expecting you to just go, and you show up and we tell you what to do. or you show up to sports practice and your coach tells you what to do. And it doesn't really take a lot of mental energy for you to just execute the plan that your coaches have written. You just got to be there. But for you to have the mental discipline to go home and either like remember to put specific things on your parents' grocery list, or remember to set an alarm to get up earlier to make breakfast, and override those signals that you want those 7 extra minutes of sleep, or to like actually teach yourself how to make chicken and rice and like have it not taste like cardboard. Like those are all things that you have to resolve to do, and then actually carry out on your own, kind of without anybody giving you much direction. And like that's where I feel like an athlete can feel very personally responsible and accomplished, is if they get all of those pieces sort of working for them too.
Yeah, I just think that's like a really good point that both you two just made, because even for me now, like if I get a really good training session in, but then I don't either I don't eat like right after, or I don't eat something like decent, like I really still don't feel that great about it. It's like kind of like you two said, when you put like at least 3 of those, or 2 to 3 of those together, like on top of training, that's when you're going to see like the big increases in performance or whatever your goal is. And like I said, personally for me, that's when I like feel the best, when my nutrition and like sleep or training is locked in, all at the same time.
Well, I mean, think about how many hundreds of kids play sports, show up at practice every day at Hudsonville High School alone, or like your whatever high school the kid who is listening to this goes to, right? Like you got 100 or 200 kids showing up to practice doing the same drills every day, right? So like part of it's genetic that you get better, but like why are the best of the best getting better? It's because they're doing all of the things that they aren't explicitly being told to do at practice, right? They're doing the things that you aren't, and that's figuring out how to go to bed on time and make enough food.
Yeah. One thing I think about too is like, if you are like really locked in for a month and you're still not seeing like results or something right away, like it takes a long time. Like especially as an athlete, if you want to play in college, like you got to have that vision of far like down the road, but also like you got to be locked in right now, like in the moment too. Does that make sense? I don't. Yeah.
I had an intake yesterday with a kid, you guys know, and I asked him, I was like, what's the long-term goal? Like what's out there? What's in the future that you're hoping to happen? And he said, I want to play baseball in college. I said, cool. Where do you want to play baseball in college? He's like, I want to play D1. I was like, where do you want to play D1? When you finish up, like I told him, like the whole like aim small, miss small. Like you could go right now. You're 16, gonna be 17 years old. You could go right now and play baseball in college. There's a baseball team in college that would take you right now. Where do you want to play? Like the more you narrow the focus, like if you aim at, I want to be the starting catcher or the starting left-handed pitcher at Michigan University, and I want to have like a Golden Glove my senior year. It's like, great. That sounds like a very focused goal. So if you backtrack that and you don't get that, like maybe you make the team and maybe you start on your junior year finally, but you still have been on the team for 2. It's just you work back, and if everything you're doing is in alignment and support of the end goal, you're going to have a way better outcome than if you just say, I want to play in college.
Yeah.
Especially nutritionally. You say, I want to be, like, you don't have to say, I want to be a bodybuilder, but if you say, I want to be able to throw 95 after 4 innings, it's like, cool. Like, you got to eat for that. You got to train for that. You got to sleep for that. And you got to work on the skills for that. Like you said, if you hit those 4 and you hit them like it is your job, you're going to have a way better time doing your job.
Yeah. One of the kids, and you guys might know who I'm talking about, but like they'll give me specific goals like that, and I'll just be like, well, what did you do today that is gonna get you to that goal like down the road? And he's like, I don't know. He's like, well,
I
you better
came
figure
here.
it out. Yeah, you better do something and figure it out.
And that's where we have the chance as coaches to be that guide, to be the people who be like, cool, like I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're checking 1 out of 4 boxes. How many more of the boxes are you going to check today before you go to bed?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, let's say, say we have like a sophomore baseball player. This is a very common scenario that we run into, who is doing all the skill training, playing all the travel ball. Pretty good baseball player, but just like weighs 125 pounds. They have never really had the nutrition conversation, and there's really like no reference point for how much they need to eat or how they're going to make that happen. What do we feel like where? So I know we talked about like, okay, at least 3 square meals, right? But what are some of the biggest bang for your buck things that like you guys have seen work or continually equip athletes with? Sort of like that goal scaffolding of like things that are going to be doable right away that will lead to longer term success.
One thing that I talk about sometimes with people is like what's the difference between the pound of bricks and the pound of feathers? And like it's the density, like the calorie dense foods are gonna be like the best bang for your buck because you're not gonna get full as fast, and it's just like more calories,
Yeah.
That's
I
just
think,
one thing.
yeah, I think one thing that I've talked about with some kids too that helps is, I mean, it's not necessarily like a bang for your buck scenario, but it at least helps get them on the right track, I feel like, is having them track their calories for like at least a day or two. Because kind of like we've been talking about this whole time, a lot of these kids just don't really understand like how little they eat, even though they feel like they eat a lot. So I think giving them that like initial reference point and baseline can kind of open their eyes and be like, oh yeah, I'm not even getting like 2,000 calories a day. And I think that like kind of sticks in their mind a little bit more and helps them like think about it more throughout the day, like either getting a bigger meal in or just finding time to get a little bit of a snack in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I felt like has helped some kids at least.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an awareness thing. I remember a kid that you were talking to about that came back with his actual calorie totals, and like I was stunned.
Yeah, it was
Like
ridiculous.
I didn't know it was possible to eat that little,
What was
right?
it?
But we
What
I
did
just
he
live
say?
in. Oh, wasn't it like 1,400 or something?
Yeah, when he got to the gym, I think he was at like it was probably around like 1,250, 1,300, and I'm like, bro,
Goodness gracious.
that's breakfast.
Yeah.
That's breakfast and a snack. But
Put that dude immediately on the seafood diet.
Yeah.
yeah,
Seafood and eat it, baby.
uh,
Incredible. Yeah, Coop, I like the calorie density one. I think, and this is not like an inherently negative thing, but I think where sometimes that loses kids is like they tell their parents that they need to just be eating super highly calorie dense foods, and like
Yeah.
for good reason, right? In our current health environment, people are waking up to the fact that those foods aren't good for you. And so that's fair. Like adults don't want to eat those foods, and they're careful about giving their kids those foods. One thing I would say is kids, especially kids that are underweight, run significantly lower of a risk with calorie dense foods because they are clearly metabolizing all of those calories immediately, right? So that's fine. But if you were to throw out foods that you find calorie dense, but also on sort of like maybe the whole food end of things, or not even whole foods, but just like more palatable to the health conscious, like do you have any to throw out there that are easy?
One that I think or just a couple examples are like peanuts, almonds. Um, I think honey is a very underused thing. Like you could take a couple spoonfuls of honey and that's however many calories, but it's a whole foody kind of thing. What do you guys have any?
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
healthy fats are so good. Sorry to interrupt, Al. Healthy
no,
fats are
you're
so
good.
good. I mean, you mentioned the avocado. Like, if you throw avocado in so many different things,
Yeah.
but even just like, dude, like just go ahead and put some butter on your toast, and go ahead and like make that food with olive oil, and don't worry about whether or not that's going to be fattening for you. Like those are foods that our body likes and enjoys, and as long as you metabolize them well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nuts, trail mix is so big. We were talking about this the other day. I could eat an entire bag of granola, but that's like 15 servings. And like I think people feel probably better about eating granola than they do about Fruit Loops. So I mean, eat some granola. Go ahead, Al.
I remember back in like May, I was like going to one of the Hudsonville girls softball games, and I hadn't eaten much, so I picked up like a family pack of beef jerky at the gas station, and it was like, I don't know, it was probably like 10 servings in the bag is what it said, but it was like 10 grams of protein per serving. So I ate the whole thing. I'm like, that was 100 grams
Yeah.
of protein, and I'm still ravenous.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's like this was a great snack for 100 grams of protein. Wildly expensive, but man,
Yeah.
was it worth it? Put
I
away
got
some beef jerky.
one thing to touch on, and then I got another fun one that I want to ask you guys. The one thing that I focus on the most is like when kids talk to me about eating, and I think all of these combined are the perfect recipe for success. But frequency is like, I ask kids like, where in your day could you eat another snack that you currently aren't? And sometimes that's literally just breakfast, or they'll just have like one piece of toast for breakfast, and I'm like, all right, 4 pieces of toast is not that much harder. Like, go ahead. But usually it's like you're not eating anything until lunch, and then you eat one snack after school, and then you eat dinner. And to me, it's like, all right, I could easily, personally, I could easily put down 700 calories at 10 a.m., 1,500 at lunch, another 700 for a snack, and then, like a solid 18 to 2,000 at dinner, and then eat cereal before bed. So if I can put down that many calories, right, what if you half that, like bring a protein bar for mid-morning snack, have some trail mix or like meat and cheese or lunch meat or something at home, for after school, and then bring an Uncrustable or a couple for during practice or between workouts. But just like so much of that is like frequency of like, if you can get 200 to 400 calories in 3 more times during the day, that's equivalent to an entire another meal, and that's a big deal. And it doesn't feel like a lot. You just have to prepare by having that stuff in the house. All right, I got a fun one to finish up with. What are some of the best calories per dollar deals that you guys have encountered
Oh,
before?
baby. Al, you want to lead it off?
Chicken bake. Chicken.
There we go.
Double chunk.
Yeah, make sure you have a membership though.
Yeah, you get that.
Sucks now.
You get that Costco membership. You get chicken bake, double chocolate chunk cookie. It's like $8 for 1,500 calories.
Dude, yeah, I mean it's a lot.
Unfathomable.
I thought you were gonna say Little Caesars pizza.
Sure.
From a calorie cost, yeah, 100%.
Pizza might be goated. Like, I don't know if it's beaten or pizza related items.
Yeah, that's true.
Dude,
Pizza's
even
so
like
cheap.
you eat the pizza, dip it in ranch, there's just extra calories right there. Like, it's easy.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It doesn't
Pizza
have to be
rolls.
rocket
Pizza
surgery.
rolls are crazy. I was looking this up for a kid the other day because he likes pizza rolls, and he doesn't eat anything. And you can get 50 pizza rolls for like under $6. That's a lot of calories.
Yeah, that's
like 1,200 calories. I mean, that's like 10 servings. It's a family pack of pizza rolls.
Well, we were
Go
talking
do
about
that.
Little Caesars the other day. And we were like looking up like what it for like a full just pepperoni hot and ready. We say it was like 2,000 calories.
It was at least 2,000, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put that away effortlessly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There will be no sweat off my brow from putting away a hot and
No
ready
doubt.
pizza.
Yeah. Another good one that I particularly enjoy is off-brand frosted mini wheats. But any of those off-brand bags of cereal, because they're like half as expensive as most cereals. Not only is it really cheap, it tastes really good, and it doesn't make you feel full, or at least it doesn't make me feel full. So you can go through that stuff like crazy. Big fan.
So Cooper, to follow up this question, for people with dietary restrictions, what's the best calorie bang for your buck items?
Well, first you're gonna have to get a job, and then you definitely. I mean, I don't know.
So you're gonna
Chipotle, maybe.
you have to buy 5 dozen eggs every week.
Yeah,
there
eggs.
you go.
Honestly, it's not a bad one. I mean, if you're
Eggs
cooking
will do
4
it.
eggs, you might as well cook 8. That's my rule, at least.
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah,
At
but
that point, you might as
mean,
well just get a bunch of
yeah,
chickens
chocolate
for the
milk.
run of the yard.
Chocolate milk is pretty cheap for how much you can drink in like one day, and like the calories in it.
mhm. That would be good for the gluten intolerant
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
not the
dairy not
but
so much, but
but that's where a lot of the healthy fats comes in, because I feel like gluten and dairy are the two that are like really they kind of wreck a lot of people, but
yeah,
usually those
dude,
people can handle healthy fats.
there was at Kroger right next to school, there was a thing called Carb Master, and I found it from Sam Solik, like watching a Sam Solik video. The whole thing was like 400 calories, and it was like 80 grams of protein, and it was it was like the carton, like 1 liter of milk, and it was like lactose free, and it was so good. It was chocolate milk. It
That's
was
crazy.
so good.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Science has been good to us, that's for sure. Nutritional science has been good to us.
Picked a great time to be alive.
Yeah. All right, boys. Do any of you have anything else to add?
Eat more food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're probably going to be astonished by how much you should eat in comparison, but you also probably are missing out on a lot of high leverage opportunities like meal frequency, calorie density, and learning how to make your own food.
And I think it just comes back to kind of like anything in life that's hard. Like if you can get yourself to do it for like a week or two, or maybe even once or twice, like it's going to be way easier in the future. So just like, yeah, lock in, eat more for a week, and then when you have to do it again, it's going to be way, way easier.
For sure.
More.
Love that.
More.
This has been good. We will reconvene for another topic next week.
The audience picks.
Audience can pick. That's cool. Do you guys see the like percent uploaded